Hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to be building a PC from scratch. Not physically, but looking at parts and essentially building a virtual PC that if someone who's never built a PC before, they can kind of get a rundown of what you need to buy. And I'm going to keep track of all of it on this little notepad on the side. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So, the first thing we're going to look at is going to be a processor. Basically, the processor is what's going to control how fast your computer can perform tasks and how many of them at once it can do. It's basically the key component of your computer. It's literally what's doing all the computing. So, yeah, this is where you kind of want to start only because you're going to build everything else around this and based on what this is capable of to some degree. So full disclosure, am not very familiar with AMD processors, which are apparently very good in the market right now. So we're going to go with Intel for this build, not only because it's familiar to me, but I also have only used Intel products myself and I never had a problem with them. So let's look up some Intel chips. And so I say we should start with the newest i5 chip. Oops, it autofilled. Okay, so basically i5s, i7s, i9s have different generations, and you can tell by this number which generation it is. And so this being the newest i5 to my knowledge is the i5 9600K. Yeah, so you'll want to look kind of in this area, the specs of whatever processor you are looking at, and then there's a few pieces of key information you want to see here. Which generation processor it is. So if it's Intel, the most recent gen is 9th gen, and the next most important thing, obviously besides power, we'll get to how you can determine that sort of thing, but is the socket, because most parts in PCs kind of can be swapped in and out of each other, but the processor and the motherboard have to match specifically as the motherboards are built for the particular processor sockets. So socket LGA1151, if you are looking at something different, I would write it down in your notes, but since I can remember this, I'll just do it anyway for the sake of making a point, I guess. Okay, so now we need to look for a motherboard to go with this. So let's just say this is the processor we're going to get, and I think this is pretty good. I mean, you want to base your decision not only off price, but a few other factors. One thing is reviews, so basically, 5X is pretty good reviews, but also you can go to a website like User Benchmark and look at actual tests using these processors. So if you don't know anything about frames per second, for instance, your TV, right? The normal TV has a hertz of 60 hertz, which basically means the screen refreshes 60 times per second, and this is usually locked. So most consoles are 60 frame per second cap because they're not built really for monitors, they're built for TVs because consoles are typically geared more towards casual play. And so if we look, we should be able to see certain games played. I think I had to click on them at the top. So yeah, for instance, a game that's really demanding on this chip, which I don't know which graphics card they used for this comparison, because that does make a big difference, as it say here. Okay, yeah, a 2060 Super with, oh wait, this is a 9600K. Wait, is this a guess it is. Why does it say that? I don't know. Basically, you can see the average frame per second in these games, and so let's see. I don't know why it's bookmarked like that, but anyway, so you can see this PC they've, I guess, like made up for this test is about $1,000, and you can get this, I guess, Fortnite FPS 133, and I'm assuming this is on max settings. Does it say that somewhere? I'm not sure. But anyway, this is a way you can get an idea of what you're going to be looking like. I think these are tested on max settings, by the way. So anyway, after you looked around at some comparisons, you'll want to pick your processor. So for me, I'm just going to go ahead and pick this one, the i5 9600K. So make sure I'm recording really quickly. Okay. So now we're going to want to go and find a motherboard for this, which you can do by looking up which socket you're using. So you could type in the 300 series. And this should be the same. It's just typing LGA 115 but it's called the 300 series. And so you can look around these. And once again, I would say lean more towards what caters to your budget and doesn't have terrible reviews. So there's only a few things on motherboards that really matter, considering most motherboards nowadays have all the features you would want regardless of how much they cost. So let's go to like a really cheap one and see what it lacks. So this one's $75. Oh, that's a micro ATX. So that's another thing. You need to get an ATX motherboard if you're going to build a normal sized PC, because micro ATX is basically, this is much smaller than a full size motherboard. And yeah, although this would work, you'd have to know this when building every other component, which would kind of just be a little bit annoying if you weren't ready for that. So you want to look for ATX, and there should be a option on the side to see. Yeah, so ATX. So now that we apply the filter, we can see. Let's see, what about this one right here? $96. Support for 8th Gen Intel Core Pentium Gold. 8th Gen. Okay, supports 9th and 8th Gen. I was like, how does it support 8th but not 9th? Because I think there's a discrepancy between LGA 1151 version 1 and version 2. So I'm like, how does it support 8th but not 9th? But yeah, it does. And so let's see, what does this not have? I mean, it looks like it has pretty much everything you would want. It has M.2, which is essentially storage on board, so you don't have to actually plug in an external drive. You can just use memory on or storage on board. It take up less space. Gaming device port. I'm not sure what that means. Is it PS2? I think that's a PS2 port. But they're just calling it gaming port. So if you're like really unfamiliar, you think that's what that is. PCIe steel armor, protecting VGA cards against bending. Interesting. I don't think that really matters that much. Like, if this is steel reinforced, isn't it usually the card that bends, not the motherboard? Is that what it's trying to say? I don't know. Let's see. That's a couple things. Okay, here we go. This is what I was trying to find. So this is one thing to look at as well, is what size RAM the motherboard uses. Most of these should be the same universally, but yeah, it's something to note. PCIe 3. Let's see. I'm trying to look for anything that would be off-putting, and I don't think I see anything it has. USB Type-C, that's really weird. And okay, yes, USB 3. Like I said, this is stuff that I think has been universal for a while now, but basically USB 3 is faster than USB 2 at data transfer. So yeah, super speed USB, 10 gigabits per second. So yeah, let's see. This is the same memory speed that the i5 we're looking at caps out at anyway, so that's fine. Obviously, it's built for that chip anyway. Yeah, I don't see anything here that's too bad, so we can go on the cheaper side for the motherboard and go ahead and get this one. 20 reviews. A lot of the bad reviews are typically just like DOA reviews, so like it's kind of unfair to the product if it wasn't the manufacturer's fault for it being DOA, if it was like a shipping problem and you still rate the thing 0 stars. So usually check the 1-star reviews for or the 0-star reviews for what their actual problem was. Let's see, yeah, first one was dead out of the box. Is now dead after 4 months of minimal use. I mean, sounds like user error. Let's see. This looks like customer service issues. But yeah, when something dies out of that box, or like 4 months after minimal use, that makes me think like, I don't know, I guess if it's manufactured and it has problems that caused it to die like quicker, then that would typically be more widespread, and you'd hear about it. But if it's just one guy, it's like, was he using a power supply that's, not suitable for what he was running? Was he doing like something he's not saying here? Like, not saying it's his fault necessarily, but yeah, if you're really trying to cut on budget, then going for a cheaper motherboard isn't, the worst thing in the world, especially if it only has a couple bad reviews. That's bound to happen when you have so many products. So let's go ahead and get this one. So this one's the MSI 360 Gaming Plus. And this is $97. I actually have my keyboard on my lap, so I can't really look while I type, because when I have my keyboard on the table with the microphone, it like bumps the microphone as I type, so I moved it. Okay, so now we're gonna get a graphics card. We're kind of taking on the big items first, so we're gonna look at the 2060 Super. This is a really popular graphics card. It's pretty much the best middle ground affordable graphics card right now. I say affordable with like air quotes, like affordable for what it can do for you, but if you just want a PC that's not going to be able to run every game, then obviously you don't need this. But yeah, let's see. Honestly, I like the 2060 KO Ultra. This one right here, because it's a bit cheaper. And I remember when this came out, I really wanted it because there was a sale going on. But I didn't buy it because I didn't need it. But yeah, I like this one a lot. Graphics cards don't really matter as far as compatibility. Pretty much all of them work with each other. But if you're unsure about the particular one you're looking at, you can always look it up. But yeah, so we'll get the RTX 2060 KO Ultra for $320. And by performance, I don't think it is very close to the 2060 Super. This is kind of just an arbitrary pick here. I think realistically I probably would get the Super, but yeah, let's just get the KO Ultra instead. And so now we need, let's see, what's the next most expensive thing? I mean, the case could be pretty expensive, but let's look at the M.2 drive we're going to use. So if the motherboard you picked, if you're kind of like playing along, doesn't have M.2, which I'd be surprised like a lot of motherboards do nowadays, then you need to get a normal SATA drive. So if you look up just like a SATA SSD, this is what you'll want to get instead. You can obviously run these in conjunction with M.2 drives to have multiple different drives, of course, but if you don't want to deal with any extra wires in your build and you have M.2, then you're going to get one of these SSDs. And so, as far as I remember, this doesn't matter. Let's go back to that one we got. And see. Okay, oh wait, did I actually pick one? Oh no, it says a turbo M.2. Okay, where's the M.2 specs at? There might be something we need to look at there. M.2 supports up to PCI 3.0 times 4. SATA 6 gigabytes per second. Let's see, 3D2. I'm not sure what that means actually. I think this is the numbers we need to be looking at. So if any of these numbers are the version we were looking at, then it should work out. Let's find one that's like 1 terabyte, so any of these would do. Why not this one? Might as well. So you got NVMe3 times 4, that's what it says over here. Say 6 gigabits per second. Let's see, do we have that 220 80? So yeah, it looks like this would be supported. And so yeah, unless I'm missing something here, this should definitely work. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get the 1 terabyte M.2 drive. So if you look at the board, usually you can tell where the M.2 drive goes. And so for this one, I'll put a like kind of pointer on screen. It's probably either actually, is it just in the open with no cooler? It might be in the open. Yeah, so it's right. See those like 3 dots in the middle, like right above the MSI logo? Those 3 dots, then the screw on the end. It'll plug into that little says M2. You can see it right above it actually, and it will screw down to one of those posts. And yeah, so we'll get this one, and so we'll get a 1 terabyte. Okay, now that we have our storage solution, now let's look at a power supply. So I remember power supplies being a lot cheaper back in the day, but yeah, and I think there's sometimes a widget that like shows up on Newegg for you to be able to make your own thing. Is it this? No. I thought there was like a thing that would show you, based on the parts you choose, what wattage you would need, most likely. Let me look that up really quick. So yeah, right here we can pick out the specs we had. So the Intel i5 9600K. There's two of them here. I'm not sure the difference. Then ATX motherboard, graphics card. We got an NVIDIA 2060 KO. It's not even listed on here, but it's like in between super and that, so let's just say it was a super on the safe side. RAM, we're gonna end up going with 16, so spoiler alert. SSD, well, does this count for a M.2? It doesn't really matter, this hardly adds anything. Hard drive, we're not gonna put a hard drive in there. And then CD drive, probably not either. So 366 watts, which I don't really believe personally, but I think you need a lot more than that. If you just look at the processor itself, it should tell you how much it'll eat up. So, pretty sure it'll say the wattage it's gonna draw. And if not, you can always Google it for your specific one. Thermal design power 95 watts. So yeah, I mean maybe that is right. Like I don't know why it would be wrong, but it just seems so low to power PC like that. But yeah, I guess we can go for like 450 watts. So this one seems pretty okay. It has low reviews though. You can click on the watts you want over here. I would definitely go on the bigger side though. Like you can never basically have too much when it comes to this type of thing. And these ratings are just the power efficiency. So basically, to produce the same signal or like electricity output on the other side of I guess this conversion, the higher the rating, not only the more expensive, but also the more power efficient it is. So yeah, we'll just pick one. Let's see. The only real thing with power supplies you would want to look out for is like modular power supplies. So you'll see it'll say modular. The difference being that this big like cable package that comes out the back, in a modular power supply you can pick and choose which cables to plug in modularly, but in a normal one it'll just all be kind of just barfed out the back of it. Yeah, we're looking at too much random stuff here. Let's just say this one's a good, non-modular power supply. What are the reviews for this? Love Corsair, but do not buy this one. 2 sent to me for a build. They both DOA. Yeah, like it's always DOA stuff, it seems. I mean, honestly, I would take the chance. I'm pretty sure they have like a return thing. So, me personally, I probably would get this. I don't know, CV, what if that's any different. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this one. Okay, now let's look at RAM. So your RAM, you're going to want to look at your motherboard specs and your processor specs. So it'll tell you what is the maximum memory speed it can support. And so the 9600K can support 2666. I guess it's megahertz or is it gigahertz. I'm not really sure. It should be obvious to me, but I don't really know, to be honest. So let's look at this. This is 3200, obviously, but I just want to see if it says. Yeah, megahertz. Okay. Yeah, gigahertz would have been way too fast. I don't even know why I would think that. But yeah, we just want to find 2666 because that's the max speed our processor supports. So you can just type in your number and you'll find the RAM you want. So 16 is typically what people get. I think this RAM is really ugly looking, like the red like that. But yeah, we'll probably just get this. So basically, our motherboard, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, said it supported up to 64 gigs of RAM, which honestly, like, unless you're just a psychopath, I don't know why you would ever need that much RAM. 16 is plenty for gaming, doing whatever. I think 32 is maybe justifiable, but yeah, I would go with 16. It's the most, like, logical thing, unless you're building like a super, just off-the-chain PC. But yeah, we'll get 2 sticks of this G-Skill RAM. Oh wait, we can pick the color. Thank God. No, the blue is still just as bad. So anyway. So you might want to look at this, but like I said, I think DDR4. Actually, I think you can have DDR4 laptop RAM. Can't you? Let me just look that up. Yeah, DDR4 is not the size, so like 260 pin. SODIMM, I think it's like I think SODIMM just means like laptop size. Could be wrong. But yeah, you want to make sure the pin is right to fit on your motherboard. So we can go back to our motherboard again. And we can see what the RAM, I guess, specs are. So we can match them up. You know, for the most part, you can't really mess this up. It's just like, I'm just showing you guys what you would do. So you have 4 288 pin. So it has 4 slots of 4 288 pins. So if you wanted to get 64 gigs of RAM, you would need to buy 4 16 gig sticks. Instead of, yeah, you only be able to get 32 gigs with the size. And also, your RAM speed is only as fast as your slowest module. So if you got another different set of RAM, they can work with each other, but they would all be on the same frequency of the lowest one if they did work together, which sometimes it doesn't happen. So we have our RAM now. So now I guess we could look at, well, I'll pretend like we would get like all the things you could possibly need. So let's get a Wi-Fi antenna, because I don't think our motherboard had built-in Wi-Fi. So why did it just do that? Did you see that? So we're just gonna get a wireless adapter, essentially. I think you can get really fast ones, but for the most part, doesn't really matter. So you can obviously get a USB one, but it just would waste a USB slot. You'd much rather get one that plugs right in. And this is only if you really cared to not have to plug it in every time you moved it or whatever, or you're not really using it for that serious of gaming. This is more like a convenience thing for not having another wire or having to run an Ethernet cable across the room. I would definitely always recommend you just plug it in directly if you can, but yeah, so any of these would work. This doesn't really matter. Like I said, this arbitrary stuff, we won't really pick one. We'll just go with the price-ish. So it seems like it's about $40, even though I know you can get one for cheaper, because I bought one of these for like 20 bucks. Actually, that's a USB one, but I swear, like some of these cheaper ones, like just for it to connect to the internet, not to be super high speed. So we'll say $40. And so you'll basically plug these in where the graphics card goes. The same way you plug a graphics card in is kind of how you plug these in. I'm trying to look at this picture again so I can show you. So in these slots right here, it'll plug into one of these, and your graphics card will plug into here. And yeah, so. And now we'll go ahead and get a case. And depending on what your budget is, this is like a big deal, because these parts so far, don't really affect the look of the PC that much. Everything from here on out is going to be mostly like purely optional and won't really do anything to change the performance. I mean, beyond airflow and stuff like that. So, but yeah, we're pretty much done with the core of the build now, if I remember. Yeah, I don't think I missed anything. So, yeah, I would go for, like, my PC case has glass, and honestly, it's really annoying if you want to actually work on it or do anything with it. It's just like having to take the glass off just adds another step of like annoyance to it. So, and these just cost like an arm and a leg for just it looking pretty, which I guess, like, if you're gonna spend this much money anyway on a gaming PC, then like what's another $50 to get a really nice looking case. But minimalism for me, like, I guess this is the decision. This is like the route now. You can spend another like $200 and get a bunch of RGB stuff, or save some money and get normal things. So I would honestly go for the more like low-key build. See, this one looks good. Looks cheap and plain. It comes with a rear fan. I don't like how the rear fan is like LED though. That's kind of just annoying. Includes 4 120mm fans. Really? Oh, they're all LED though, so you'll be forced to have the lights on, which is honestly kind of off-putting. Like, if you're not gonna have RGB fans, then don't give me fans. Like, if I just have to look at the one color forever. Let's see about this one. Oh wow, 2 12cm black frame. It's weird saying centimeter instead of millimeter. Black frame white blade fans pre-installed at front and rear. 2, like, one in the front, one in the back. I don't understand. Oh yeah, I guess that's what it is. I guess that'll do, but we'll buy 2 more fans. So I like this case actually. it looks pretty good. So we'll get this one. This is the, let's make sure it's the right size. So yeah, apparently you can fit a bunch of different size motherboards in here, which means they just have a bunch of different like mounting hardware, which is not a big deal. So just make sure it's ATX to match the motherboard. If you got a different size motherboard, obviously make sure it matches that. But yeah, and this, a mid tower versus a full tower just means like, I guess how tall it is and how much space is in it. I think that's the only difference. Yeah, shorter and smaller than full tower cases. Smaller motherboards, I think it means I can support them, I guess, but yeah, okay. I would definitely go with the mid tower while I get something bigger if you can fit it all into a smaller one. Let's do that. We're also going to not include any of the shipping costs just because we'll assume you can get all this stuff somewhere, or for, free shipping or just find deals or whatever. We're just going for like a raw price. So now that we have our case, we need some fans. So fans are pretty cheap if you don't get RGB ones. So we'll just get 2 of these. Be quiet fans. I've heard good things about these. You could get 4 and just replace the ones that come in the case so they're all matching, which is probably, but $40 just to do that, it's like, that's the same price as the case. So yeah, I would just get 2 to fill in the rest of them. Okay, and now, what else do we need? I think we've pretty much built it. If you were to get a SATA drive or a hard drive, because your motherboard either doesn't have M.2 or you want to include those as well, you're going to want to get Sata Cables, because these don't usually come with power supplies. So let's assume you needed a normal drive. You want to get a couple of these just for backup anyway, but yeah, you're going to want those if you do get a normal drive or 2. So yeah, let me think about it now. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, the cooler. So the cooler is pretty important. If you didn't know, the processor obviously heats up when it's being used, and so it needs to be cooled down. And if you don't cool it down fast or just efficiently enough, you'll basically hit a point where the processor is forced to slow down because it's not being cooled off. Obviously that's kind of where the base clock lies, like where can it run stably while, staying at a normal temperature, and how fast can it do that. And so, yeah, I was looking at this one earlier. I really like this one. I don't necessarily like the big fan on it, but you can obviously change that. I don't think the RPM on this fan is something special. Like, I think you can just put a normal fan on there. Let's see. Yeah, you want to make sure this would fit the socket that you're actually going to put it on. So if you have a different processor, you're going to want to find one specifically. Most coolers, though, tend to, fit on most. They'll have, like, certain schemes, but I know AMD stuff is a bit different. Their motherboards anyway. So, yeah, just make sure that your cooler you buy actually works on the motherboard you got, and so you're gonna need that. So let's go go ahead and get this one. How many times will I forget the dollar sign? And so I guess another thing too that I kind of forgot about is thermal paste, which I think a lot of times motherboards or processors come with these. I don't really remember though which one it may or may not come with, but if you don't get any from your motherboard or wherever, then you're going to need to buy some. So you put this in between the processor and the cooler. Of course, this isn't a tutorial on how to actually build a PC, but if you watch a video, you'll obviously see them use this. And so if you don't have this, this was something you would need to buy. Let's just buy it just for the sake of having our own. And that's just used to transfer the heat from the processor to the heatsink. And so now, I think we're on to the physical mediums, so keyboards, monitors, that sort of thing. So I don't think the keyboard is as important as the mouse, so really any of these I think would probably be fine. Any of them with good reviews. This one right here, this is a Rosewell Neon RGB membrane mechanical keyboard. Like, yeah, I don't see any problem with it, but I think a brand that's, I think a bit more expensive, but just, I've never had a problem with is Corsair. I will say that I had a Corsair mouse that wasn't very good. It had a problem where when you would bring the mouse back down, if you were to pick it up, so if you put on like a low DPI, you a lot of times pick the mouse back up. And so when you would put it back down though, it would kind of like get a really weird missed input and like basically think you swiped really hard across the screen. So actually these are really expensive. Holy cow, I did not know some of these were that expensive. I think I got mine, I have like the non-RGB, like just super cheap one. I got it with an Amazon gift card too, so I didn't pay like almost anything for it. But yeah, which is not like a Corsair, actually that's like too expensive to be worth it honestly for just a keyboard. You'll want a mechanical keyboard though, just because the actuation is a lot more, like it's less fatiguing, I should say. So playing for hours on end with an actual keyboard is a lot better. And there's other brands like Ducky and like tournament size keyboards that are good, but to start with, this isn't bad. So let's get this one. And of course we'll get a mouse. Now this matters a lot more, but as far as making sure it's a gaming mouse, I don't think you can game with a non-gaming keyboard, but you really should get a gaming mouse, because this type of stuff really affects user experience. Like what good is your $1,000 computer if your mouse is just super crummy and you can't even play well anyway. So Logitech pretty much runs the game with mice as far as I know. I never had a problem with any of my Logitech mouse. I'm actually using an ergonomic Logitech mouse to record this video, but I also use a gaming one to actually game with. This is actually the mouse that I have that I don't think is very good. Let's see if the 1-star reviews say that exact thing. It might just do that. Let's see what they say. Unless you like taking a risk. This guy says scroll wheel broke. His left mouse button is broke. Yeah, to be fair, the IQ software is really annoying to have to install. problem that I had with it. People having like a double clicking problem. Unreliable. Let's see. I don't know, this guy has like a ton of problems, it seems. I didn't have any of these type of problems, but people were really complaining about the IQ software. But anyway, yeah, let's not get this one, obviously. But I mean, this one looks pretty convincing. And also, I think getting a good mouse is worth cutting costs other places if you have to. How much was that keyboard actually? 35, okay. But basically, if you can get a better mouse, if it means having a worse case or other things, if it doesn't fit your budget, definitely do that. There's two things that take priority after the build quality of, the computer. So, like, I would say processor, graphics card, motherboard, or, number one, you gotta get that taken care of. But then it's probably the monitor and the mouse that come next, like before any of the other things, because these so fundamentally impact the experience that you're playing, that you really want to, invest in these. So let's get this one, this G603 Lightspeed wireless gaming mouse. Okay, and now we want to get, well, this part is kind of weird because it's not really required to game, and most people have headphones already. So I won't put headphones on this list because you can use pretty much any headphones you want. I'll put them on here arbitrarily just because, like, to get a full gaming experience, you do need a headset. So I think I have this like $60 pair of these. So if I could find those, there's like a cheap version of those. This one's relatively cheap. Let's see. Yeah, I think it was probably these H60 or one of these, like one of these really cheap ones. Basically, just go with something that works. You want it to be a stereo headset so you can hear directionally, but we'll just say like any random headphones will really work. So yeah, that doesn't really matter that much. I mean, it does. Everything really matters, but that one you can sacrifice as long as it's stereo. Pretty much anything will work. What is going on with this website? Shit, you want a good mic too. This is only if you're doing like online gaming or recording things, but just in general, like a PC setup really isn't complete without a mic and a headset. So this stuff is kind of add-on, but obviously you don't need this. But yeah, a mic or at least a headset with a mic like the one that I just showed. So like if not a headset, then you want headphones and a mic. So I'll put a Blue Yeti on here because that's just standard, honestly. Okay, and now we will get the monitor. this setup, but ideally for something like this, we're building like a competitive setup, like a moderately casual competitive setup. So I think 1080p is fine, but you could go 1440p, but no higher than that. I wouldn't go 4K. It's just a waste, really. And you're gonna want 144 hertz or higher, because that's pretty much the spec we're gonna be hitting with the settings and the processor and stuff we have. We should be able to get stuff like frames like that with low settings on most like competitive games. So any of these will work. 27-inch is just a little big. I like 24 because like, you can really see the whole screen pretty easily. So honestly, this one looks pretty good. The very first one. So yeah, we'll get this one. And so you will need a DisplayPort cable, if I'm not mistaken. Wait, VGA, DVI, HDMI video inputs, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure about this. How can you even get 144 hertz if you don't have DisplayPort? Because I thought HDMI was capped at 120. VGA, DVI, HDMI. Okay. Well, to be honest, I don't trust that really DisplayPort, so let's just get this one instead. So let's just say 220. I don't really know. I'd have to look that up later. But yeah, DisplayPort will let you get that kind of speed. But you probably would need to buy the cable if it isn't included. So yeah. So now I think that just about covers. You get a mouse pad too, but you probably have a mouse pad or just use the flat desktop. I just prefer to use the desktop. But for some reason my mouse stopped really working well with the desktop, so I had to put a mouse pad down. And that was like after months. It's like, what changed about my desktop that makes it unusable now? I don't know. So yeah, let's just add up everything now and see what we're at. So let's say 300, 620, 740, 800, 870, 910, 980, 1000, 1020, 1030, 1060, 1140, 1190, 1320, and then 1540. So basically, if you have absolutely nothing, this is approximately how much it would cost you to get a full rig going. And this is not including, I guess, electricity bill or, your software you're going to buy or whatever, but in the games themselves. But this, relatively speaking, is how much you're looking at spending if you want to get a full gaming setup for, playing all the newest games with no problems. And for most people, if you have a full-time job, you don't have too many bills, like you can get $1,500 relatively soon. And yeah, so if you're young and you don't have a job, or you're not even old enough to get a job yet, then honestly I think console is the way to go, because your parents are going to be much more likely to buy you a console for, Christmas honestly start building like a little, grungy PC out of used parts or other things like that, you can get a build that works for way cheaper than this. If you guys want, on my next video I'll do like a super budget version of this. This is like, I wouldn't say top of the line, but pretty high up there as far as consumer computer stuff goes. You can definitely build a full setup for way cheaper that can play most games just fine. But this is like for, I guess, upgradability. Using this socket, you'd be able to upgrade to the best i9 out right now, and pretty much be set for, at least, I don't know, like probably 10 years, assuming the parts didn't go bad. Like, obviously the power supply go by then. You probably have a drive issue, but like still, yeah, this is like a really great jumping off point. And I would say, when it comes to recommending people, I really wouldn't recommend spending like small amounts if you're able to do this, like, and really committed or want to get into like more serious gaming, just because I don't want to recommend an experience that isn't actually that good. So yeah, the more you spend, obviously the more you'll get out of it. But I think if not, this 1,500 number, which is, like I said, pretty high for what you really need to spend, it's still just really a good investment, because I don't think any of this stuff, like, give or take, $10 to $20 here and there, if you wanted to get a full setup that can run the games that this PC, like this setup right here that I just built, could run, then it would probably end up, at the lowest you could get all this stuff for $1,200 maybe, if you got like a bunch of good deals and things like that. Obviously as time goes on, this would totally change. The market right now for processors is really weird because of AMD, like, making newer stuff now and actually making like valid competition. So yeah, this will definitely become cheaper, and so this video in some ways will become dated. But as for right now, in May 2020, this is what it would look like to build a full PC for competitive gaming from scratch. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and I hope I guess inspired you or let you know, if you didn't know about, PC, specking, or like things that kind of have to work together, or just parts in general. And yeah, I hope I didn't miss anything, and I'll see you guys next time.